Good evening. Welcome to the Malden Board of Appeals. Today is February 15th, 2023. The Malden Board of Appeal will hold a public hearing Wednesday, February 15th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. at Malden City Hall, 215 Pleasant Street, room 106, the Herbert L. Jackson Council Chambers, Malden, Mass. On the following, this meeting may be recorded by Urban Media Arts, formerly known as Malden Access Television. First, we're going to do a roll call.
Kramer?
Here.
Sullivan?
Here.
King?
Here.
Sherwin?
Here.
Bilgan? Here. Chu? Here. Cordovedi?
Yes.
Thank you. All present.
And all the microphones are working. So the first order of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Has everybody had a chance to read or review the minutes from the last meeting? Anybody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
The only thing I had on them was when it talked about the voting. I didn't vote on that.
Yeah, did I email that? Or did I imagine doing that? That wasn't updated?
Yeah, I thought you did, but I don't think it got changed on the,
Okay.
just that everybody,
I will change that. Okay. Okay, oh, sorry.
Okay, so-
With that change?
on
Okay.
that, with the change, make a motion
Okay,
to
thank you.
accept the minutes.
Thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Thank you. On King's motion to approve the minutes with the change of making one correction of the non-vote by King in the last petition in, for January, second by Bilgan. Sullivan?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Sherwin?
Abstain.
Thank you. Bilgan?
Yes.
Kramer?
Yes.
All right, minutes are passed with a vote of 4.
Okay, so that brings us to our first and only petitioner tonight. It's petition 23-001 by James Furlong and Dale Chin for a variance of Title 12, Chapter 12, Code of the City of Malden as amended through December 8th, 2022, Section 12.16.010, Table of Intensity Regulations, specifically rear and side setbacks as per plans RES 050433-2022 at the property known as and numbered 82 Beltran Street, Malden, Mass., and also known by City Assessor's Parcel ID 010-053-304. And before we get started on that, I just have to read in a letter from the Malden Historical Commission. It's addressed to Nelson Miller, who is the building commissioner. Dear Mr. Miller, in accordance with Title 4, Chapter 24 of the Code of City of Malden, the demolition and alteration delay ordinance, the Historical Commission hereby notifies you of its determination made on January 19th, 2023, that the subject of the above reference application, namely the building at above reference property, which is 82 Beltran Street, parcel ID is 010-053-304, is a significant building based on criteria A, B, and C of section 4.24.080. At a meeting on January 19th, 2023, the Commission reviewed the above referenced notice of intent and approved only the proposed alterations in the exterior of the building as shown on the plan submitted with the notice, namely the open, uncovered deck at the rear of the dwelling, and provided that the existing columns of the rear porch and roof line shall be maintained. Accordingly, the building permit for the alterations may be issued without delay pursuant to demolition and alteration delay ordinance, provided, however, this determination shall be incorporated into any zoning relief granted for the project. Please do not hesitate to contact me with any questions. Thank you. Sincerely, Michelle Romero, City Planner and Clerk to the Historical Commission. Okay. So, we are ready.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Timothy Burke. I'm the architect for the project. I have a business address of 142 Berkeley Street in Boston. I've known James and Dale for many years, and they purchased this house about 4 years ago, 3.5? 3 years. Yep. The house had suffered some benign neglect, and Dale and James have put a lot of effort into bringing the house back to life. We all enjoy the house. We think it's a beautiful house and an asset to the neighborhood. And especially their garden is well worth stopping by to see in garden season. The Mrs. Chen lives with James and Dale. And it's one of the main focuses of this project is to provide a place for Mrs. Chen to be outside. She is wheelchair bound, so the deck has been designed as an accessible deck at the first floor level, which comes right off the kitchen, where she spends a lot of time. And there'll also be a lift that will be incorporated so she can come and go to the automobile for, to go to the doctor or the store or whatever. The proposed deck is located at the far rear of the property. The hill behind us rises up very quickly. There's already a 4-foot high retaining wall at the back property line that you can see on my drawing. And so we feel that we recognize the encroachment into the rear yard, but if you visited the site, I think you'll agree that it's not encroaching on any neighbors because they're well up the hill and don't even see this. So it's more of a function of the shape and size of the lot that we need this relief. And all the parts of the deck will be a high quality materials in terms of the framing and the finish for the railings. And as mentioned in the Historical Commission report, we do plan to keep the columns on the back that has a small roof. And this would allow Mrs. Chen to be outside on a misty day when it isn't perfect weather, but she could still be outside. And I think we all learned during the pandemic how important it is to have some kind of outdoor space to use when you can't be out on the street with everybody else. At this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Yeah, I think this project seems familiar. Can you give us a little history of the previous
We did appear before this commission, before the ZBA once before. Because of the pandemic, things got a little turned upside down and our approval expired. And so that's why we're back here to ask again for the same permission.
Great, that's what I thought I remembered.
So the plans are still the same?
Right, we did not change anything from the first application in terms of the design.
Okay. And my only question would be on the, I don't remember, and it may have been there, but the gas grill they have on the porch, is that okay? I mean, it's not under the roof of the porch, is that right?
No,
off to the
it's
side.
open to the sky, and it would be piped, so we're not going to have any tanks, propane tanks. It would be a hard line connection by a licensed plumber to the gas grill.
As long as it's not covered.
Okay. It's close to, it's close to the corner of the, rear corner of the house. Okay.
Sir, is there any reason that a deck couldn't go where the porch is, so it would be within the setbacks?
Well, it was more of creating enough space for the family to use, and Mrs. Chen is a big gardener, so there'll be planters on the deck where she can do her gardening. And if you go to the site, you'll see that the rest of that rear yard isn't very usable at present, so we feel this is the best use of the property to provide this deck without impinging on any neighbors. I do believe even the house, the back of the house is already in the setback.
I think we have that here. It shows where the setback is, and I think almost the whole garage doesn't conform. Yeah, so the whole garage is
Right,
within
I
the
mean,
20 feet.
I think the house was built
And the
before the
house and the
zoning was
existing
written.
porch also don't conform.
Actually, that actually leads to another question. I noticed that the deck, it goes over, it looks to me, it goes into the setback on the right-hand side if you're looking at the property from the street. Is that part of the deck necessary? I mean, does it have to encroach on the right side as well as, encroach on the rear setback as well, or the side setback?
That was the area that we felt was the best place to have a grill. They do love to grill. If you look on that drawing, just to the other side of our property line is a concrete block garage that belongs to the neighbor. So it's like a solid wall there anyway. So there's no, again, I don't think we're impacting that neighbor in any adverse way. And again, it's by lifting this up to the first floor level, we're making that rear yard much more usable.
Yeah, I would say to your point, Adam, there's a lot of like small residual spaces between the deck and your garage and the deck and the neighbor's garage. So I think it's just consideration whether it makes sense to leave a 3-foot wide path.
We would have at least 3 feet there at the
Yeah, it
closest
looks
point.
like 4
yes.
foot, 3. So you're saying it's 3 feet between the existing garage and the deck stairs?
Yes, it is, yeah. And it gets wider as it goes back due to the geometry of the site. You see the garage is at an angle, yep.
Adam, is it only the right 10-foot setback that concerns you, and the rest of the deck seems in line with?
Yeah, I mean,
The
that's my, that would
non-conforming.
be, I wouldn't want, I guess it'd be a tough call, I think, to have to violate 2 setbacks. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I don't see it absolutely necessary if I have to cross over on the side setback.
Yeah. Is there a way to maybe amend the shape of the deck so that you're not encroaching on the side 10-foot setback near the neighboring garage?
Of course, yeah, the existing house is 12 and a half feet from the property line. So that could be made smaller. I think, it just ends up creating some very unusable yard space that is not an improvement to the property by any means. And if you were there, you would see that other garage is just completely blocking anything that the neighbor could see of our deck.
I did go by the property today, and you will not be able to see any of this from the street.
No.
The garage, actually. Yeah, so you can see the garage. So if you're looking from the street down the driveway, you can't even see part of the garage because it's behind.
But
The house.
he's talking about on the right-hand side. I mean, that
No, I
you
mean
can
on this side,
Right.
so.
But what Adam was talking about was on the right-hand
Right.
side. I mean, that.
Yeah,
And
that
you
shut
you
out.
can't see that either, and it's a rough topography back there.
I saw it when I drove by, but I mean, it was, I mean, you could see where it would be at that point. But I
What?
mean,
Yeah, and I forgot, I didn't see that the house actually already is in the setback anyway.
Yeah,
on the left side.
Catherine pointed that out.
yeah.
The water kind of comes down that hill, and so the rear yard isn't very nice, so by building this deck, we're getting it up above the moist area.
Do either you remember the topography change over the course of the site? Is it a little bit higher on the right side? I'm just kind of thinking of what it's going to look like.
It is going, if I remember correctly, if you're looking at the house from right to left, it is going down.
Down, okay. So where the stairs
then-
are, it's lower than where the grill would be?
That is correct, yes, yeah.
And then the back line, there's a retaining wall there, then it's very steep up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hill. There's not a whole lot of elevation change back there from left to right across the rear of the property. But then going up the hill, it's dramatic.
Any other questions questions or comments from anybody? Hearing none. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak in favor? Okay.
I'm the neighbor on the right side, and I have no problem. These guys have done a terrific job, and I would think our city would encourage the efforts that Dale and James have put in to, restore these types of houses. We're right next to them, and we're on that right side, and we have no problem with whatever they want to do. And also, I also have to say, I would be in support of the, modern efforts to age in place, and this is exactly what James and Dale are trying to do with Mrs. Chin, so I don't see anything not to support here. That's all, thanks.
Thank you.
Could we get your
Oh,
name?
yeah,
and-
sorry, your name and
and
address.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's Margaret Grossi, and my address is 88 Beltran Street.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak in favor? Hi, Ryan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan O'Malley. I'm the Ward 4 City Councilor. I don't represent Ward 3. I hope Councilor Amanda Linehan will be okay with me speaking in favor. I'm speaking in favor because, as was mentioned by the petitioner, 215 Pleasant Street. As the petitioner mentioned, during the pandemic, we learned that having spaces on our properties is really important to be able to get outside, recreate, socialize. This is important as you grow older. It's important for many different reasons. I do believe that reasonable enjoyment of their property in this way actually improves the neighborhood. You heard from the direct abutter that would be most impacted. They're in support. The other issue that we're facing in the city is that oftentimes people, rather than improving their properties as this property owner is looking to do, they instead decide to cut down all the trees, rip up all the grass, and just pave over the entire back lot. And that is something that does not improve the neighborhood. Something like this deck will. And the other thing I'd mention is that this body has in the past set precedent approving parcels like this and variances like this for decking, specifically in this type of regard. So I'd hope that you would honor your past precedent and approve this. Not only did you approve this specific petition, but other petitions similar to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody here that would like to speak opposed to this project? Hearing none.
Take that as a no.
Any other further discussion from the board?
I have something to say, right?
Yep.
So, I really don't think that what some of the things that the board has been saying relates to the fact of whether or not we think that having the deck is a good idea or not. I think it's more about the amount of coverage that it might have. And I know I tend to be a minimalist and don't want to usually grant more than someone needs. And it's a good-sized deck, and they probably, without going into that right side setback, they could probably still, have a functional deck that would be usable. But I think basically because of the shape of this lot, it's very difficult, and to be able to, it's very confined in the back there, that especially if they wanted to do a full range of activities, in the sense doing the grilling, taking that piece off on the side, and then trying to fit a grill in somewhere on the rest of the lot would really make it difficult to really get a full use out of the deck. Because we can see that they're putting it on the very narrow end of it, and if you've got the stairs and the lift that you have to contend with on the other side that you need space for. So it would look like that would be the best position to place it in, and to remove that, I think, would make it less usable for them.
Yeah, I completely agree. If you think about circulation in a wheelchair, it does require a lot more space than someone just walking, and so I think they've done a good job planning. And it does look big, but when you talk about using it for accessibility and putting planters on it for reasons that, you know, we've kind of discussed today, it makes a lot of sense to have a little extra space. And I think we've just discussed that it's no more non-conforming than the existing house and existing historic porch that needs to remain. So I think they're doing a decent job in trying to hide it from the street and then kind of keeping it within the non-conforming setbacks.
We've also approved the same plan in the past.
Yes,
They're here because the 2 years expired.
yeah. The topography of the site hasn't changed. The
Right.
shape of the site hasn't changed.
Right. Would anybody like to make a motion on this petition?
I'll make a motion to approve this petition based on the topography of the site being atypical, no objections from the abutters, and having a good understanding that's not detrimental to the neighborhood.
I'll second it.
Okay. With the recommendations from the Historical Commission,
Included in the decision.
including,
Yeah, I believe the plans say keep the existing porch and the columns, so I think including the letter would be definitely safe too.
okay, on Bilgan's motion to approve due to topography, no objections from the abutters, and we will include the recommendations of the, or the requirements of the Historical Commission. Second by King. All right. Sullivan?
Yes.
Sherwin?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Bilgan?
Yes.
Kramer?
Yes.
Thank you. All in favor? Petition 23-001 is granted.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night. Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, King's motion to adjourn, second by Sullivan. We'll have one. Sullivan?
Yes.
Sherwin?
Yes.
Kramer? I'm sorry, King?
Yes.
Bilgan?
Yes.
Kramer?
Yes.
All in favor? At what time?
That clock isn't right. It's 6:53.
Thank you very much. 6:53. All right, at the moment, we do not have anything on the agenda for March 15th.